Fill her up.
You're listening to the Gas Digital Network.
Hey everybody, this is Tank Sinatra. You're listening to the Think Tank Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm glad to have you here. If you're enjoying the show, please do me a favor. Head over to iTunes and leave a review. I love reading them. And if you want access to the full archive with episodes such as Jesse Itzler, Dan Soder, Derek Huff, DMC, go to gasdigitalnetwork.com and use promo code TANK for 2 free weeks and access to all the other shows on the network. Enjoy the episode.
Are they all here?
All but one.
Well, I'm going anyway.
I'm the best at what I do.
You're listening to the Think Tank Podcast
Look at that fucking smile on my face.
with your host, Tank Sinatra.
Barbara Corcoran, welcome to the Think Tank.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, just move that mic over a little bit to your face.
Sure enough. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you again. I feel like we're buddies now.
Only because we've seen each other twice in 2 weeks, which is usually what people do when they're having an affair. What do you think?
I'm ready when you are.
I'm more than ready. I've been ready for years.
Barbara, you know what? I mean, this whole hour, I was just going to ask you questions about how you made it in business, and I mean, you lifted the curtain up before, and I saw it in all of 3 minutes.
What's that?
You just walk in a room and you're like, I'm here. What's up?
Oh, well, I'm curious.
You're curious, but you get shit done too.
Yeah, but guess what? You got good guys out there. The minute
Yeah.
I met them, I'm like, I got to get something out of this guy. He looks smart.
Yeah, who are you? What can you do?
I know you're smarter than Tank. That's what I thought.
In a different way, yeah. This is that was like a clinic.
Oh, really? No. I just got a little lucky today. You got good people, and I just needed certain things that they know that I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm fascinated by your whole everything because you've created a massive business and then you took that business and you turned it into a massive platform and now you're taking that platform and you're expanding it. Like, I'm interested in people who are serious about life, and it's apparent that you're very serious about life.
I'm not so serious about life. You got me wrong. I'm just serious about seeing how much I could get done, how much fun I could have.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, you're talking about that? Then we are in agreement.
Yeah, not like gray and dark, not that kind of serious. Just like you're not messing around.
No.
At all.
You're going to miss too much. You mess around for even 2 days. What do you can't make it up. You've missed it. Done.
So have you always been like that?
Good question. I don't really know.
You're not one of those people that was, having that lemonade stands and
No.
selling
I'm not
baseball
self-aware. That's the problem. I didn't ever think about what I'm about. I'm just doing it, right?
Yeah. And where did that come from? Were your parents like that? Were they entrepreneurial?
No, they were not. My dad had 2 jobs. He was a printing press foreman. He washed trucks. Those were his 2 jobs.
Printing press, and he washed trucks?
Yeah, at night. Yeah, he had to support 10 kids. We lived very much hand to mouth.
Oh, my goodness.
But my mother was a powerhouse.
She was the matriarch.
She was beyond the matriarch. She was the commander.
Wow,
You were frightened of her. You snapped to it when she snapped, and she ran the household like a boot camp. She was fucking amazing. Can I say that on you?
Yeah.
I say fuck all the time. Just so happen to be free today.
Yeah, you're free. Wait, so you were one of 10 kids?
Yeah.
And where are you in that?
A second, which is the best position because I'm a middle child. So everybody from 2 to 9 was a middle child. Swear to God, you have protection on your flanks.
Yeah.
My poor sister got it. Oh, my God. I hid behind her.
My dad is one of 8 kids, which I thought was a big family.
Yeah.
And where did you grow up?
Edgewater, New Jersey, a little town right on the Hudson River. You probably know where it is.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Wow, 10 kids. You really don't. I mean, there was one family that I went to school with where there was 14 siblings.
Wow.
But that was so rare. Like, you didn't.
One marriage?
One marriage, yeah.
One sexy woman. Whew.
Oh, yeah. They were getting it on.
My mother had a baby every year and a half. I'm sure she didn't enjoy sex. She just had a baby every year and a half.
Utilitarian.
Well, the Pope said so.
Yeah. I remember going to his house in I was in Catholic school, so it had to have been from 2nd to 6th grade, and they were having a party there, and he goes, "There's my aunt," and it was like a baby.
No.
And I was like, "What?" I hadn't ever seen that before yet.
Wow.
But that happened a lot in his family because there was all the way from 39 down to a 4-year-old.
In one family?
One family, 14 kids.
Unbelievable.
So it was like aunts and uncles were older and younger than, nieces.
Wow.
And that. It was crazy. I'd never seen anything like that.
Well, I had an
before.
Uncle Billy. He was 5 when I was 15. And I love calling him Uncle Billy.
Yeah, I had an Uncle Billy too. You're striking a nerve with me. I love Uncle Billy.
I love my Uncle Billy.
He was so funny.
Mine was so funny.
Was he?
Yes, was he?
Goofball?
Was he goofball?
Are you repeating me?
Yes, am I repeating you? Just joking with you. Just started going the same direction. Got you there just for a minute.
You did get me. So I imagine that growing up in a family of 10, you developed some kind of survival tactics that you applied to business. Is that correct or no?
No, I don't think you develop survival tactics, but in a way you're growing up in your own town. In the household, we had 2 bedrooms, 10 kids, 1 bathroom. So it's like your whole town happens there.
Man.
And then we always had kids over for dinner. My mother always had a few kids at the table. Why, I don't know. There was no room. But you know what you learn when you're growing up in a big family? More than anything else, you learn how to compete. And I am competitive because if you think about it, every kid's got to get the attention of their mom.
Yeah, well,
So
that's what I meant, survival. Yeah.
Oh, that's survival. Okay,
Yeah.
then I would agree with you. Yeah,
Yeah.
survival. Yeah.
Yeah, because I imagine, I was one of 3, and I'm not very competitive at all.
Oh, who are you kidding? Does a cat have a tail? Come on.
Am I competitive? Maybe I'm not, I was never competitive in sports, and that was like the only,
You're saving it for business. Who are you kidding?
Maybe I
Let me
was.
talk to your wife. I'll ask her the truth.
maybe I am a little competitive.
Oh,
Wow,
my
I wanted to learn about you. I'm learning about myself.
Yeah. Well, guess what? If you said to me, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to compete with you in such and such, I would close up shop. That's how competitive you are. I'm smart enough to know that I wouldn't have a chance.
Oh, man.
It's your middle name. Think about it. My
Maybe
God.
it is.
What do you mean maybe it is? It is.
I don't know. I never thought about myself as competitive.
Look at the way you look at people. You're sizing them up. You're assessing. You're working your angles. Lots in those eyeballs of
I
yours.
do assess.
Oh, my God.
I'm a sizer.
I know you are. And you're a big size, too, by the way. And I
thank
like
God.
what I see.
I'm a big size. You know what? I guess I'm competitive with just to say, like you. I made a decision very young, and I remember meeting a friend of mine who was exactly like this, and I was like, we're going to be friends for forever, I can tell. I was at the gym. This was a long time ago before I got married, and some girl walked in, but like we were very far away from the window, and I said, yo, turn around. He goes, already saw.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, and I thought I was early to everything.
Yeah.
And I said, yo, do you realize how much more life you and I live as a result of just paying attention constantly to our surroundings? How much more we get out of life? I said, I'm interested. And he's doing great. He's the principal of a high school in Syosset. He's still a phenomenal person. Always like to see him. I don't see him that much anymore, but he was like, I like people that pay attention.
Yeah, well, nothing goes by him. That's why he's the principal, not the teacher.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, so you have a real estate company.
I did have a real estate company. I sold it in 9/11.
Okay, so you built a real estate company.
Corcoran Group, yeah.
Corcoran, which is everywhere you want to be.
Well, not everywhere in the world, but everywhere where there's a buck to be made. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So when you started out, I imagine things were a little different back when you started out for women in business, right?
Yeah, they were very different.
And so, not to put you on the spot, but
Yeah.
that to me is the most fascinating thing about it all, because I'm sober, right, in a 12-step program. There's women who have been sober for like 50, 60 years, and they have very different stories to tell than stories that I see today. Now it's like half and half. It's 50-50. Back then, it was like 70 guys and maybe 1 woman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Depends on the business, whether you're in big business, whether you're an entrepreneur, but it's still very imbalanced, of course.
Real estate is still imbalanced today?
Oh, very much. Well, what you find with real estate, it's worked by women but owned by men, as it was in my day. I mean,
Yeah.
I looked around. There were tons of women selling real estate, but nobody owned the shop. That was the only point of difference. But today, most shops are owned by men as well. But there's a lot of women out there.
Now, do you remember that moment when you decided you needed to own the whole thing? You needed to be the captain of your ship? Or
I
was it?
didn't really have that moment. Like I said earlier, I'm not that like reflective. You know, I'm a better reactor. So I had a boyfriend I met while I was a diner waitress, and he said, "You'd be great in real estate. Why don't I give you $1,000 to start a company?" I go, "Why not?" I had 22 jobs. I thought, what's the worst that happens? The worst that happens, I get my diner waitress job back. Big deal. You know? Yeah. So that was the moment, but it wasn't even my suggestion. I just reacted to the opportunity. I said, I'll take the 1,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mother thought I was sleeping my way to the top, which wasn't true at all.
No, I think that you're a hard worker, and and you'd say you're not self-aware, but I think you are at least super aware of some things. Maybe you're not introspective, but you're definitely, you know what's going on in the world.
You know what I am aware of? I am not self-aware. I never question myself. I should. I tried to get into yoga. I kind of try to do all that kind of stuff. It never works for me. But I'm very aware of the guy I'm looking at.
Yeah.
I'm so curious, sizing them up and thinking, could I make them my friend? Could they work for me? Could I work for them? Could I? Like a world of possibilities. So I'm hyper aware of that.
And that's constant.
Constant. Yeah. Well, so curious. What's
Yeah.
more exciting and interesting than a human being?
Yeah.
The messed up ones are curious. They're actually more interesting in my book. The ones that are too straight up boring as all hell, but you're trying to break through the crust and see what they're really about. No, everybody's interesting.
Yeah, you just reminded me of something else. When I was a kid, I haven't thought about this in a long time. I loved Superman growing up.
I'm so surprised.
The Christopher Reeve Superman.
He was the best.
And my parents, I begged for a Superman doll, like a toy, like an action figure or whatever.
You missed the boat. You should have asked for a Superman costume.
Oh, I had those too.
Whoa, I want to see those photos.
And I asked for the Superman action figure for I don't know how long. They gave it to me. That afternoon, I had it dissected and taken apart.
No.
Yeah.
What for? That's
because I wanted to see how it worked.
Oh my God.
So my curiosity was going back to when I was 4 or 5 years old. And not only was I curious about it, I didn't let it end there. I had to know. So
what happened? What did you do to your first girlfriend?
Oh my God. Every girlfriend I ever had up until my wife was
You didn't slice her apart, did you?
No.
Okay, that's what I expected you to say.
I'm not curious about how people work physiologically. Psychologically, I'm fascinated by how people work.
Absolutely.
Absolutely fascinated. I can't, the fact that there are people out there who make decisions. I mean, there are environmental and sociological factors that play into somebody's success or failure or whatever, but people who are, my two highest values are persistence and flexibility, and anybody who demonstrates those, I just want to know everything about. I want to know what the moments were. That's why I asked you what the moments were, what were the motivations, what were the obstacles, because I know you can't exhibit persistence without obstacles.
Oh, absolutely. They do you a favor.
They only show up when obstacles are present.
They also build your character, as you well know.
And they build your expertise.
Yes, they do. It's the only way to learn, like learning by the sword.
Yeah. So how I came to know you was through Shark Tank.
Yes.
Which
going on 11 years. I can't believe it. I thought it was going to be a 2-year gig.
I didn't.
Yeah. No, for me, I thought, I'll do this for 2 years. I'll move on to something else.
It's hard to describe how valuable that show is.
I agree with you. I really do.
Not only to the people who were on it and to the people who are starring in it, like yourself and Damon and Mark and Kevin and whatever, but the people who are on the show obviously get a real quick lesson in how business actually works, even though that's not exactly how business works, but it can be tough. But to the viewers at home who don't have the adrenaline spiking because they're on television, I mean, I learned a lot from watching Shark Tank.
I bet you did, but I bet you knew everything you needed to know in life when you were about 10.
No.
Really? Slow.
I'm not trying to disagree with you.
Really?
I was so underdeveloped until I was about 30.
You're so wise, though. How did that happen? That all happened between the ages of 30 and 60, where you are now? 30 years you've learned all this?
Oh, I'm 39 now.
Oh, I thought you were 60. You look like you're about 60. Just
we switched places. You look 39. I look 60. No, I got sober at 22, and that's when my life really began.
That makes
when I was
sense.
like, okay, no drugs, no alcohol. My brain is starting to kind of work, but I still made every mistake under the sun. I mean, even in that situation, they say don't date, don't go to bars, don't do this, don't do that, and I did all those things, and somehow I was able to stay sober through it all because my decision making process. I read I don't know if it was Think and Grow Rich or one of those
Great
books.
book.
Yeah, I've read it like 10 times. But he says that, successful people make decisions quickly and change their mind slowly, if at all, and unsuccessful people take a long time to make a decision and then they change their mind.
I don't remember that. That's great, though.
Yeah, that's why I don't think it was in there. It was definitely in one of those books. But I do take a long time to make decisions. I'm sorry, I make decisions quickly. And then I don't waver unless I know that it's time to waver. So knowing when to quit and when not to quit and all that kind of stuff has really helped me in every aspect of my life. Fitness.
Well, you also cover a lot more ground that way. You live life in the fast lane in a way because you're collecting a lot of experience fast by making those decisions. You get a lot more out of life that way. The better way to go.
Yeah, I've had, probably 40, 50 jobs in my life.
Wow. You have me beat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just didn't know what I wanted to do. I needed to make money, and I liked making money. I enjoyed being a part of something. I still remember my first paycheck. My first paycheck was I worked 40 hours as a landscaper, and I made $4 an hour.
Wow. What year was that?
This
Probably
was
better pay than you're letting on, right?
1990. No, it was. The least they could possibly pay me.
Okay.
It was 1993, maybe. So $4 an hour was like
Not so good.
Not so good, but I went and got $160 from this guy around the corner, and I walked back with it in my hand. I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I have $160. Like the sky is the limit for me right now.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed being self-supporting. Because my father worked for the Long Island Railroad, and my mother didn't work the majority of her life. She cleaned houses and did stuff like that. She was always trying to she took really good care of us. You know, I go back and forth between saying my parents were incomplete and they did a great job. And that's the crux of it all, is that,
What do you mean by that? Incomplete?
like, they didn't give us what we needed to become complete adults. But as a parent now, I know that no parent does that. No parent gives every kid everything they need. My favorite comment on parenting is a tweet that I read that said basically, like, I hope I give my kids just enough anxiety to be funny.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. But not enough so that they're like hospitalized,
Yes,
you know?
yes. Right.
So you gotta mess your kids up a little bit so to make them interesting, like you said.
Yeah. It's hard to do that, though. The richer you are, the more difficult it is to mess up your kids in a meaningful way, but you mess them up with money.
How so?
You give them what they want. You know, what happens is if you're, like, I was raised a very poor child. So for me, my measuring stick was against the other poor kids in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
Now I have 2 kids of my own. I came into money by my hard work. And it's harder to keep kids away from peers that just value money and false success. It really is. It's harder to keep a kid genuine the more money you have.
Do you find that obviously you've made money in your career? Can you talk to me about
I've made it. I've lost it. I've made it. I've lost it.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You've spent it. Have you spent it frivolously at any point?
Not really. I bought myself recently, 4 years ago, the most gorgeous dream apartment in New York. So anyone else would say that was frivolous.
Yeah.
But I lived like almost in a trailer park my whole life because I was afraid to spend money. And I also felt self-conscious about spending money because I couldn't help but to think, oh, this $600 dress could feed 3 families for a week. So I just had no business spending the $600. It took me a while. I've become a little bit more frugal because I realized I'm not going to live that much longer. And all my kids around me, all my friends say, come on, be good to yourself. So that's rubbing off a little bit.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. I've bought a frivolous thing when I first started like making more money than I had ever made at the Instagram thing. And then I bought another thing.
Wait, what was it? What was it? The frivolous thing?
It was a watch. This watch.
Oh, well, I don't know watches, but that looks pricey. It shines a
Audemars
lot.
Piguet. Yeah.
Oh, it sounds French.
Very
French.
French.
Expensive.
So I had this watch for about a year, and then I wanted to get a Tesla. And I talked to like 8, 9 different people that I trusted. And what it boiled down to was I could afford it.
Mm-hmm.
I did feel guilty about buying it because, like you said, this money could go a lot further. And one of my friends goes, dude, you know you can own more than one nice thing at a time, right?
And he gave you the freedom to go ahead?
Yeah, I was like, all right, if I have to sell the watch, I'll sell the watch.
Wow.
It is what it is. I don't have to sell it right now.
And then right after you got your Tesla, the guilt went away.
Yeah, because I love it.
I know. That's what happens. You just got to go and spend the money.
Oh, it's not even a car. The watch I keep, I guess, as a reminder of how dumb I can be with money because it was an outlandish purchase.
But it's resellable, I think, watches, aren't they? Yeah.
That's why I
you'll
bought
lose
it.
some money, but
No,
you won't lose the whole
it's
thing.
appreciated.
Really, I don't believe it. Try to put the test to that and see if you really get more money.
Well, I look to see what it's worth right now, like what it's valued at, what it's selling for on the resale market. It is about like 20% more than what I bought it for.
Seriously?
Yeah.
With a new watch you only bought a short while ago. It's not like it's an antique.
No, but they make a lot of limited editions. This is a boutique edition, stainless steel.
It's French and limited.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it's got a name. So the Rolexes and the APs resell pretty quickly.
Tank, you went all out.
Yeah.
Woo.
I know.
You know what I did with the first money I made in business? I got $340 my first rental commission check. And that put me, I maybe had $700 left to stay in business. So I went over to Bergdorf Goodman's and bought myself a fancy ass coat.
Good for you.
$340 right on the coat. I never regretted it. Wore it for like 8 years. It was great. Fancy. Made me feel good.
It does, before you have money, you do feel like having money is going to make you feel different than you do, and it really doesn't. It makes you. It's almost had the opposite effect on me, where I feel bad for people who don't.
Yes, I'm the same way.
It's made it worse.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
I try to be as generous as I possibly can. I'm generous in every way I possibly can be, and then it'll leave. But still, I feel that I get it. I get what you're saying. I feel the same way.
So your generosity.
When you come up with a solution, you tell me because I don't have one. Okay.
Generosity is another thing that I value, and I value it because my mom told me when I was younger, if you're generous with one thing, you're usually generous with everything.
It's the God's honest truth. And if you're cheesy ass with one thing, you're usually a cheap bastard with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but you being here lets me know that you're generous with your time, because I know your time is valuable. So you traveled all the way down here. You're sitting here with me for an hour.
I didn't go to Siberia, my dear. I took a cab downtown. You're overplaying this a little. It took me about maybe 12 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
I'm very generous with my time.
Sit for an hour? You could have said no.
I could have said no, but the minute I saw you, I knew I had made the right decision, because we went through that tiny little hallway that's about 2 feet wide through the base of the building, around a staircase, down another set of concrete stairs, and squeezed into your little door, and then came into your studio.
Yeah.
That was the best walk of my life. Walking behind those broad shoulders that are squeezed between all those little openings, I felt alive again. I said, I feel 25 and sexy standing behind this guy. I'm just going to follow him right through everything. It was so much fun. I'd come down once a week just for that walk.
Let's do it. We'll start
the
a
walk of
podcast
shame.
together.
The walk of shame.
We'll call it the walk of shame.
Shameful what I was thinking.
Now I'm going to start sweating again. Jeez,
I doubt
maybe
it.
That's why I
doubt
last
that.
time.
Yeah.
So you have a new podcast, and we're going to go back to some things, but I want to make sure I touch on the 888 Barbara, which I think is so brilliant and smart, because something you said to me that I've been thinking about since we met was engage the people, engage them. They're already listening. Make them feel like they're a part.
It's not just making them feel they're a part. You'll get more out of people, and you're so good with people. I said to you when you were at my podcast, you were the only one I ever interviewed that I was intimidated by.
Let's talk about that, because I feel like that
bothered me.
That's you being Barbara.
No. I'm a flatterer. I kiss people's ass, no doubt about it. But I always tell the truth and that kind of stuff right away, right? No, you intimidated me by your intelligence, and I said that to you. I'm not telling you anything new.
But you had Mark Cuban on the show, like
Mark, I know
before.
Mark. I've been working with him 11 years. He's like a brother, a rich brother that I wish was really blood related. Like he was my real brother.
Yeah.
But no, Mark is brilliant, but not in the way you are. You are wise. Mark is smart. You are wise. There's a big difference.
Yeah.
And you seem to have that wisdom on anything. Don't ask me to quote one thing, because I can't even remember the podcast now. But I remember walking away and thinking, God, what a smart, wise guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That made me
That's
feel
why I
good.
said get people on your show, because you could really have great conversations. Yeah. Beyond, just an interview. An interview is nice. But what I do on 888 Barbara is better. I just like it better. You're going to like it. You got to listen to me. I'm good at this kind of giving out advice where it's not wanted.
Well, it is. Well, it might not be the advice that they want, but they do want your advice. And that's, I think, where the real benefit comes in, because you're giving people. When I sat with you, I was like, holy shit, she's really telling these people
You forget.
what they need to hear.
Let me tell you something. You forget what your advice was to my call-ins. You were giving better advice. And I'm like, when you would give your advice, I'm going, oh shit, what do I say now? This is my damn podcast.
Oh, you're good. You're very humble also. Either humble or...
Really? Or bragging, one or the other.
One or the other, yeah. So your podcast, you started what, 3...
Maybe 3 months ago.
Okay.
Feels longer, yeah.
And people, so you do like an interview
Yeah,
with
well,
somebody?
people just call, and I get probably 200 questions in a week, or maybe even more now. I don't know. I've not been watching it. People call and leave their questions, and we call the good questions back that we think a lot of people would relate to, and we start interviewing the person and giving them good advice.
Do you do any pre-interviews to make sure that they're
No.
talk well or anything
Well,
like
we
that?
hear their voice. Remember, they call and they leave a message, so
Yeah.
they're at least coherent. But we don't do any pre-interviewing, because you know what happens? I think I tried that in the initial month, and it wasn't like reality TV. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's like you knew where you wanted to go with the conversation. You had it in your head. So as a result, you really didn't listen. When you don't know a thing about the person other than their quandary, you really, really listen. And I'm good at listening.
Yeah.
And it got in the way of my listening by being prepped and everything. So no, I just kind of listen and say what I think.
And do you have a favorite so far or no? As far as people who've asked like great questions, or somebody that you really felt like you helped?
Well, I would have to say my favorite so far, only because I got a thank you note from her today, and it was like 6 paragraphs long, so genuine. She made me feel like $1,000,000. She's my favorite.
Yeah.
But only because of the thank you letter, I swear to God.
Yeah.
But what her problem was when she called in is she said she was working for a guy that she couldn't stand. He was abusive with his language to all the employees in the small company, but she had freedom to see her kids during the day, and she valued that. And she knew she was good at her job, and she just had it with the guy, but she said, I'm not going to leave because I have all these benefits. Well, I just pushed her right out the door, and she wrote me a letter saying, I got paid more, I got a great boss,
Wow.
I get to see my children, and why was I there for 11 years? So that made me feel like, wow, I made a difference. But
Yeah.
that does feel good to feel like you made a difference, right?
Of course. Yeah, that's what we all want.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, we all want to be valuable, and however we're going to be valuable. And on that 888, I feel like I'm valuable.
When people come into the Shark Tank, how do you decide who you're going to work with? Is it a gut thing, or is it all like pragmatic and this business is making money, or is there a little bit of like?
I base it entirely on betting on the individual. I don't care what business they're in. If it makes common sense, that's good enough. You know? If it even doesn't make such common sense, I feel, we'll figure out how to do it later. But if I'm in love with that entrepreneur, I grab it. I compete hard for it because I know if I have a good entrepreneur that I believe in that they're going to make it. That's it. And it's not like I can brag about a great batting average. I probably succeed with 1 in 3. Everybody succeeds at first when they're off Shark Tank because it's like getting $1 million ad right in the face. Right,
Yeah.
Right. But once that's over, once the initial rush is over,
Yeah.
and your head's really big, and now you have to start earning the attention and the sales, 2 out of 3 people go down. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but still, 1 in 3 is not a bad average.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not
But
at
I'd
all.
like it to be 3 out of 3 because I lose a lot of money on the 2 that I lose on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that Mark Cuban wrote a really short book. Forgot the name of it. It was
I didn't even know he wrote a book. How did that get by me?
I don't know. It was like 70 pages.
Really? What was it about?
All I remember from the book was him talking. You know, you just brought up batting averages. He said that if a baseball player hits 3 out of 4 pitches, he's an all-star. If he hits 4 out of 4 pitches, he's a Hall of Famer. In business, you need to hit 1 pitch ever to be a success.
Oh,
So keep swinging. Something
wow.
along those lines.
That's
Yeah,
a
it was
good one.
And for me, who had so many jobs and felt like I had failed so many times at so many different
How
things,
encouraging.
yeah, it was really encouraging.
Wow.
I should tell him that. He followed me on Instagram after I posted a meme with him in it.
Oh, good for you.
It was making fun of him, so he's got a sense of
Oh,
humor.
he's got a great sense of humor.
Yeah.
He's probably the most confident individual I've ever worked with in business.
Yeah.
There's nothing that could shake that guy and make him think, oh, am I right? Am I good enough? Am I this or am that? Yeah, he's fabulous. He's so confident.
So you get along with the people on the show?
How could you not? You're working 14-hour days with these same guys and also Lori, the other
Yeah.
woman on set. You have to get along. It's like you're in a foxhole in a war or something, you know, it just goes on and on and on. Yeah, we especially if we don't get along because we're disputing each other on a deal or outfoxing each other, the minute we have a drink after work, which is like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, we love each other again. Of course. I like some more than others.
Yeah. Who's your favorite?
Mark, he's the richest. And it clouds my vision. I think I like him and Damon equally well, but I have to vote for Mark because I am swayed by those billions that come with his name.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go, he's not just a millionaire, he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
Makes a difference how you see people. You know, I look at him, I think he looks more handsome than if he didn't have the billion. I'm
Sure.
Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah, it adds something. Something I learned about when I was younger, I just thought that everyone who had money was a jerk because I didn't have any.
Yeah.
Right?
You probably didn't know people with money, but a
didn't.
lot of them are jerks. You were right on half of that stuff.
Half.
Yeah.
But what I found is that once you get to a certain point past like, I don't know what the threshold would be. Let's say, I'm going to make it up.
Knowing your mortgage is paid.
What'd you say?
Knowing your mortgage is paid. That's a threshold.
No, I mean like as far as like let's say some like my favorite episode of Shark Tank that I still think about and I still watch the clip.
You better say I was in that episode. If you're going to name,
Of course you were in the episode.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Okay, good.
But it was it was a small clip. This guy came on and he was trying to sell this thing called Salesapreneur.
I don't even remember that.
It was it was like maybe the first or second season.
Yeah, perhaps.
It
Yeah.
was Salesapreneur. It was an approach to sales that he was sure could double and triple everybody's sales.
Oh, really? I'm sure
and
I
he
was
was
out.
like this douchebag mortgage broker that I knew. I didn't know him
Yes.
individually, but I knew his type. And Mark and Damon just ripped this guy apart.
Mm-hmm.
And Mark offered him something, and then he kept talking. And Mark,
Talked over Mark.
Yeah.
Oh, never do that.
He goes, you're in sales. You just taught America the greatest lesson of sales that everyone should know. Don't talk past the sale. I'm out. And the guy started sweating profusely. And then Damon said, sell me this pen. And he was like, sell me this pen is a little whatever. I don't like that either. But it was just such a great exhibit of like, you're
What
doing,
not to do.
You're selling a sales program.
Yeah.
That was the irony of it.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I've just the show I still watch. I don't watch it as much because I have kids, but I still enjoy the fact that there are people out there who you are investing in people, like you said, but there's people out there innovating and pitching
so
and
many.
never stopping. It's just the human race is so impressive to
It
me.
seems so shocking to me that we see those doors open on a typical shooting day probably 15 times. And I'm thinking, I've heard it all. And the door opens and you hear something new all over again. It's shocking. It's been going on for 11 years. No replication whatsoever.
None.
Yeah, none. Mm-mm.
They don't let that happen on the show?
They don't. No, they make sure of it. I mean, initially in the first couple of years, I saw a lot of golf shit that I'm like, I'm out. I don't golf. I don't get it. I'm out. And they stopped that. And after that, they never repeated anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do they I guess this is getting a little bit too in the weeds. I'm just curious as to how they pick who's going to be on there. I guess you got to have a good idea and a good pitch, just like anything else.
Not really. You know what you have to have more than anything? You have to have personality.
Yeah.
You either have to look weird, look sexy, look really smart. That's the first thing, or they don't even listen to you because it's TV. You
Yeah.
got to look good. Then you got to sound good, and then you have to have a business. That comes third for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So do you love Shark Tank?
I love it.
Yeah.
You know what part I like about it? Not so much the performance, because I'm still scared to death every time I sit on that set. I can't get over that. For some reason, I'm always insecure. Like, oh my God, what do I. But what I love is when I start working with my entrepreneurs. I just came back from Old San Juan. I had all my all-star entrepreneurs, the most profitable, successful people.
Yeah.
We discussed a little business for one morning, and then we drank ourselves silly for 3 days, danced in the streets, laughed, made fun of each other. But I just love my entrepreneurs. They're like my family now. They really like my family. Maybe that's why I pick really great entrepreneurs, because I'm thinking, am I going to want to party with these people?
Yeah.
And most of the people I meet on Shark Tank, nah, I can't see myself partying with them.
Now, were you investing in companies before that?
I invested in real estate my whole life. I built the Corcoran Group,
Yeah.
and by accident, because I couldn't find offices in emerging neighborhoods, parts of Brooklyn before anybody wanted to be there, Upper Manhattan, Harlem, I couldn't find offices for rent, so I had to buy buildings to house a real estate office. And in the end, when I sold my business, I sold it for $66 million, my buildings that I had to buy, where I did nothing but occupy them. Mm-hmm. Oh, well, we fixed them up and occupied the ground floor. That was worth much more money than my whole real estate business.
Wow. Just
by accident. So I was an investor in real estate my whole life. I still invest in that because I really trust real estate. You know, you could bite it, you could taste it, you could see it, you could hit it. It's just like real real estate.
It's real estate, yeah.
So I'm much better at that than I am in all these crazy businesses.
Yeah.
But the businesses, what you're doing is you're investing in people. In real estate, you're investing in property. Two totally different things.
Sure.
Real estate's a lot easier, more reliable.
So you were already successful before Shark Tank. What made you decide to go on there? You had this itch that you needed scratched?
No, I had sold my business. I thought, oh, great. Now I'll take how to make pasta lessons from a good Italian cook. That's what I thought. I've been working since I was 11 years old, many times, 2 jobs at once. I said, I'm going to relax and learn how to make really good pasta because I'm a decent cook.
Relaxing sucks.
Yeah. I did that for 1 lesson, 2nd lesson, 3rd lesson. I never showed up. Thought, what do I do with the rest of my life? So I decided to be a TV person.
Yeah.
And talk about real estate because the market was crashing right after I sold my, and Bad News Prince. So I became a contributor on different morning talk shows.
Yeah.
And that's when I got the call from Shark Tank. I know that was too long-winded.
No, that was fine.
A long way to get there. Yeah.
Well, I'm a good listener too.
Yeah,
so
I can see
listening.
that. One reason you are listening so well is you never blink or break eye contact.
Intimidating.
You'd make a great FBI officer.
I have been told that my entire life, yeah.
Tell me the truth.
And especially now, since all these stocky bald guys are playing cops on TV, everyone's like, you know who you look like, bro?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
You know what else, by the way? I don't know if you could act, but you do stand-up comedy, so that's acting.
Yeah.
I could picture you being on it. Yes, I
Breaking
see it
Bad
as
too?
clear as it's right here. It all exists. I could see you being a giant TV star in a series like that old Telly Savalas. Do you know who he is?
Oh, yeah.
You know how Kojak was like the biggest cop on TV. I could picture you playing that.
Oh my God,
cop.
that's right. That's going even back that far.
Yeah.
People tell me I look like Hank Schrader from Breaking Bad,
Yes, you do.
Michael Chiklis from
Yep.
The Commish.
Oh,
and
kind
from The
of.
Shield,
Yeah, I get that.
and Herc from The Wire.
Yes, but I'll
And
tell
from Ray
you,
Donovan.
I'll tell you where you're different. You're so much in your space. No, you'd make a great cop. And why not? You got the time. You'd be your kid's hero.
Yeah, I should be a cop on TV. I
Even
get
when
it
you
enough.
say it, I want to be arrested.
I, as a joke for Halloween 2 years ago, just dressed up like a cop, like very casual
How
cop.
do you dress up as a cop?
I put
you
on
mean-
just an NYPD T-shirt.
Oh.
And that was all I needed.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, it was totally different out there for me. I went to a 7-Eleven. People were holding doors, getting out of my way, asking me if, it was very different. And then I went to a 7-Eleven in Manhattan, and it was a little even more different.
Wow.
Because Long Island is like this, I mean, I live in Smithtown. It's not really
Yeah.
dangerous. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Manhattan's very
Were
unpredictable.
people afraid of you?
Yeah, they were like,
I
excuse me,
bet.
I'm sorry. Excuse me."
yeah.
They thought I was a cop.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to help you audition for the show because I really swear to God, I'm not just saying
What show are you talking about?
the show you're going to have. I could
Oh.
see it. I know what it's going to. Hey, $5,000. You'll have it within a year and a half.
Shannon, are you getting this?
No, you got to get
time
it.
stamped.
Okay, good.
Is that a shake or is that a?
That's a shake.
Okay. Here
Hold
we
on.
go. 5,000 a year and a half. Remember, you said it, and I've got witnesses out there.
So you're saying that I'm going to have my own show
You're going to have your own hit show.
where I'm a cop.
Yep.
Is it going to be serious or funny or both?
You're going to be exactly yourself. You're not even going to have to act, and people are going to fall in love with you.
Man,
In fact,
what's
you know
today's
what?
date? A year and a half from now is 2021.
And I want to be executive producer, which means I don't do anything, but I get most of the
I
money.
know, it's a good job, right?
No, but just practice this line.
Okay.
Have a seat,
Have a seat.
just like a cop.
Have a seat. I'd be a nice cop, but a stern cop.
Oh, you'd be the perfect cop.
Yeah, it'd be fair.
You'd have people calling into you saying, arrest me. I mean it.
Oh my God. Wait,
Oh my God.
What was?
You're not taking me seriously, but you
No,
should because
I am.
I can really foresee the future. I know that sounds weird. I'm a great witch.
Well, you gotta have some kind of pattern recognition to do well in real estate.
Pattern recognition? What's that?
Like where you
dominoes?
see a trend and you're like, I think this is going to happen next, and you get in line and then it happens.
Well, I always spotted the areas that were going to explode long before they exploded, but I didn't spot them. I would just talk to all the creative waiters I ran into at restaurants, the gay community, and say, where do you live? They go,
Mm-hmm. Really?
oh, I live in this Bed-Stuyvesant. I heard it wrong, couldn't find it. Bed-Stuyvesant. I forget what I thought I heard. And then I would always, within a month, promise myself to go out and have a look at it. And I'd go at night with a car, so I didn't get killed because they didn't look like good neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And I'd open an office there.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
But
an
you know what?
interesting
I
take.
also, in those places, bought buildings. Thank God. I mean,
Yeah.
even if I didn't, it would still be a good move. But no, I didn't spot anything earlier. I just listened hard to the waiter who was rooming with two other guys who wants to really be a dancer but couldn't get the job. And he's at a fancy restaurant waiting tables. And they all ganged up and they moved to Bed-Stuyvesant. That's
Yeah.
who you listen to. It's still true today. You just see where the young creative community is moving and you follow behind them. You can't lose. They always explode in that area. They make it a better neighborhood. Next thing you know it, the strollers are moving into the parking lot.
It's really true because now I'm thinking about a few like Williamsburg or any of those neighborhoods that Dumbo that have really like exploded.
And a while ago, you know?
The cool kids now would not live there
Oh, they would never
because
live
it's
there.
too like
Even they're
too well
beyond it.
populated.
You got it. Yeah.
too expensive.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a really interesting.
But back to your new TV show. What are you going to
yeah.
call it? I have a great name.
Go for it.
Tank.
That's what I was thinking.
You full of shit. Then
I swear to God.
You didn't say it.
You're
You're
right.
stealing the credit. I said
No,
Tank
I'm not.
first.
You can have all the credit. You're
Okay,
the
good.
executive
All right,
producer.
That's fine. All right,
yeah.
fine. Okay. I don't
Are you really going to executive produce a TV show where I'm a cop?
I sure am.
I'll
I
get a
know
pitch deck
nothing
ready.
about it.
Me either.
Yeah. But can I tell you something? I could even connect you with all the right people to get a little pilot done. I bet you don't even need a pilot. I mean it because I've been living in Hollywood. I got all these contacts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to ask for an advance payment from you. No, I'm only kidding. But I could because it would be worth it.
You could, yeah. Executive producer Barbara Corcoran. This
Yeah.
is Tank Sinatra as Tank.
Yeah. What's your real name though? You can't
George.
say George who?
Resch.
No, it's called Tank, starring George Resch. You need another personality name out there.
Yeah.
Tank.
I don't know. I mean, George Resch is okay. It's my real name. It's what it's been my entire
okay.
life.
It's not great, George. I swear to God.
It's not.
It's not so great.
You're telling me.
I like the Resch. Well, you work on that. I'll think it up. George.
Grady.
George Tank. George Grady?
No, Grady Resch.
No.
I wanted to name my son Grady.
Yeah.
I like
good
that
thing
name.
you didn't.
I know.
Yeah, that's not a good one.
His
What did
name
your
is
wife
George,
say?
though.
George is great, yeah.
We call him GJ. His name is George Jesse Resch.
GJ is pretty good.
And then my other son is Bennett Resch. Bennett is my middle name.
Well, I'm going to tell you that's a great name, too, because you never tell a parent that their kid's name is off.
Well, George is terrible.
What's wrong with
it's
George?
not terrible.
It's old-fashioned. It sounds like a solid guy.
It literally means strong farmer.
Does it really?
That's what George means, yeah.
Wow.
So growing up,
Like the kid cares what it means, right?
I cared because I needed to hold on to something.
Oh, okay.
I was like, what is this? It was Curious George, George of the Jungle, Boy George, Georgie Porgy, George
right.
Bush.
Oh, my
it was
God.
fucking never-ending torture with this name. My name didn't make any sense to me until I heard it with an uncle in front of it. Because my sister had my niece, like when I was 22 or 23, and they were like, hey, Uncle George. And I was like, oh, okay.
That does sound right,
I
doesn't
get it, yeah.
Good for an old guy.
Maybe we can call it Uncle George.
No, I don't think so. But,
No?
well, we got opinions on that.
We'll figure it out.
That's the easy part.
We'll
That's
run
the
it-
trimmings,
We'll
as
run
they
it
say.
through the mill.
Yeah.
I had another
excited
question
for you.
about Shark Tank. I'm just so fascinated by it. It's such an institution,
Yes,
too.
it has become, yeah. And you know what? It's so good for the people at home because it gets people to think, why should I work for the next guy?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and this, there's an app called Time Hop where it pulls up your old Facebook statuses.
Mm-hmm.
I was probably watching Shark Tank religiously at this time, and I said something like, entrepreneurs are going to save America. That's really how I feel.
Wow. But it's true. Most jobs have always been created by new business.
Yeah, but even like the smaller entrepreneurs with like 3 to 4 employees that are solid, have a good product, they don't need to get any bigger. Those are like they're popping up everywhere. I feel like they weren't really around when I was in my teens.
They've been around, more of them now. You probably just weren't as conscious of them.
Probably.
You're probably looking at the shoemaker down the block or the greengrocer. They had 2-3 people.
Yeah.
No, there's a lot out there.
I remember seeing I didn't understand business at all, and I remember very vividly going on my way to my restaurant job and seeing like a guy go by in a plumbing truck, and being like, that guy's probably killing it.
You really thought that? Most
Yeah.
people feel sorry for the plumber.
No, I was like, that guy works for himself. He's probably making $500,000 a year.
Wow.
He sees his kids, yada yada. I was
You thought of that as a kid? That's opposite to
Yeah.
how all the kids thought when I was growing
just
up.
because he works for himself.
Oh, we would have said poor George the plumber, working for himself,
Poor
cleaning
George.
people's toilets. That's
Yeah.
how we would have felt. And the guy going out in a suit was who we admired, going out to corporate America, just like you saw on Beaver. Like, oh, you have a dad like Beaver?
Yeah. Well, I guess because I was working in a restaurant, I felt like anybody that worked for themselves was
Yeah.
doing better than me.
Smart guy.
I don't know that, this guy may be making $30,000 a year. Who knows? Maybe he's not a good plumber at all.
And
Maybe
by
he's
the
not good
way,
at business.
earlier on, you said that you weren't wise until you were 30 and gave up drinking, right?
Yeah.
You just told me you were smart even then. Come on. Look at your sizing up of that plumber, the right impression of the plumber. And
Yeah.
you were a kid. Come
Yeah.
on. You were born wise.
Yeah, maybe
I
was.
rest my case.
I said something really wise when I was a kid.
What's
So
that?
maybe I have been wise. My mom, there was this
Sounds like a confession's coming.
No, there was this commercial, and they kept repeating the word toss up in it. I forget what the commercial was, but my mom goes, George, who's prettier, me or Vanna White? And I said,
no.
it's a toss up. And I was like 4 or 5.
Oh my God. What a darling answer, though. She probably bragged to every friend for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
It's a toss up.
Yeah, she talked about it for a long time. I do remember saying that. I was very young. I've always
my
had a
God.
good memory.
You always had charm.
Maybe. Yeah.
Salesmanship. When I was interviewing you on my podcast, I was more than anything enamored with your impression of what you learned when you were a salesman from the guy you worked for.
Yeah.
Why don't you repeat that? I don't know if you may have said it many times. First time I ever heard it.
There's a lot of them. Which one did I say?
I can't remember. That's how impressive it was.
There was
Wait,
one.
you didn't get that joke. I said, I can't remember. That's how impressive it was.
Well, the Maya Angelou quote. They don't remember what you said or what you did. They just
Well, I
remember
don't
how
know
you
if it was
made them
Michael.
feel.
Yeah.
You know that quote?
Wait. No,
Maya Angelou.
No, you told me that quote, but no, it was something else you said that you learned from your boss. You said, "Hey George, if you get them smiling, you got them," or something like that about the essence of salesmanship.
Oh yeah, it's like I may have said I learned so much from so many different people. It's a transference of energy. If you're excited about the product, they'll get excited.
That's it.
Yeah.
I know that sounds so simple, but I had never thought about that before, and it's so true. If
I used
you're
to go
excited,
on.
they'll get excited.
I used to go on estimates with this guy, and I would be like, I'll pay. Like I don't. How are these people? What's wrong with these people? How are they not excited by this? Because he was so electric and so. I mean, it was fence. It was vinyl fence, wood fence, chain link.
And he got excited about selling that product.
But he felt like he had the best product and the best installation.
And did he? From where you sat, did he, or he just believed in himself like that?
He had good people working for him. The product was relatively commoditized, but he did somehow manage to have one of the suppliers make a custom rail for him that nobody else had.
Wow.
It's a big deal. I mean,
That's a big deal. It's a point of difference in sales. That's everything.
It was a nicer looking rail, but it's also like when you're in the fence business, you see fences everywhere. Now that I'm not, I don't really see fences that much anymore.
Right.
So, but what you have to realize is that when people are looking for a fence, they see fences everywhere. So now that you know that they're looking, if they called you, that means they're looking. So you tell them, you have this fence, 80% of fence on Long Island has this 1x5 rail. It's 1 inch thick and 5 inches tall. It's very flimsy. We have a 2x7. It's got a beveled edge. Sits nice in there. It's it's protected against wind gusts, sun, all that, whatever. And like, I also learned that the company and the product doesn't have to be perfect in order for you to sell it. You just have to focus on what is good about the company or product and focus on that, because everything has downfalls. I would feel when I first started for him, like I knew that we would botch jobs every once in a while. We'd say we were going to be somewhere and we'd forget, or we'd promise to be in 2 places at once or whatever. But the customer doesn't know that.
Yeah.
Let them find it out after they give the deposit.
Oh, God. Oh, God. By the way, was your special fence, more expensive than everything else?
We always sold at a higher price, yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's sometimes hard for people to accept.
Yeah.
But enthusiasm can overcome it.
Of course it can.
And you know what? If a customer said they weren't going to buy, you just needed to be practicing your line early to say to them, "Have a seat."
Yeah, exactly.
With your intimidation, "Have a seat."
I'm not leaving until we get this check. But I also remember in the middle of the winter once, he said to me something about, all I remember him saying is, "Bro, I just sold 1,700 feet of fence and 2 feet of snow. Don't tell me you can't. I don't want to hear can't." And I was like, damn, bro, you are an animal. 1,700 feet is a lot. It was
But you admired him for that, didn't you?
I still admire him.
Of course.
He was, he's one of those people who in school, the worst student, troubled kid, really didn't look like things were going to be okay for him. And now he probably makes more money than anybody, and he's happy also. That's the other thing. You can make a lot of money and still be miserable. You walk in your house, you wish it would crumble on you,
Yep, you're right.
This crown molding, I wish it would just fall on my head and kill me already.
But you know what I found? I found with all the entrepreneurs on Shark Tank that I've worked with, the kids that were really lousy students are my best entrepreneurs.
For
Even
sure.
on Shark Tank, 4 out of 5 sharks were dyslexic. That's a big average.
Wow.
Not Mark, but he made the billion. But other than Mark, everybody else is dyslexic on that set. And dyslexic people do very well in the real world. They don't do well in the school world.
Yeah.
Were you a good student yourself?
I enjoyed going to class because I liked the camaraderie of it.
And you were popular probably, right?
I would say I wasn't, but I may have been.
Yeah.
I was.
bet so.
I was very funny. That was
funny is the key to making every man popular in high school.
That was a defense mechanism that I learned early on.
Yeah.
And sometimes I would aim it in the wrong direction. I would, make somebody feel bad, or I'd make fun of myself when I didn't have to. But I always enjoyed making people laugh, and I enjoyed being around people who made me laugh.
Of course.
So
Better
you
way to
sharpen
live life. Yeah.
when you're around funny people, you become funnier.
That's true.
But I did not do my work. I wish I had done more work.
For what reason? What difference would it have made in your life?
I think I would have seen the value of work.
You learned
higher.
it. You learned it in school. Outside of school, pardon me. You learned it outside of school. Why learn it in both places?
Well, I learned the value of work outside of school, and I learned the consequences of not doing your work in school. So I guess maybe it's better to get that out of the way when you're younger. I don't know.
Of course. Yeah,
I don't know what the answer is. I had a guy in here, this guy Francis, who it was just so funny listening to us talk about school. He was like, I took the SATs and I didn't even check the box that allowed them to send your scores to colleges because I was just like, they'll figure it out. He goes, "Oh, I sent my scores individually to all the schools." Oh. And it was like, man, I didn't even know that was an option.
Yeah.
But he went to Harvard.
Oh, but of course he went to Harvard.
That's why I went to Nassau Community College.
And now, ever since he's been to Harvard, he's been saying to everybody, you know where I went to school? Harvard. Where I went to school? Harvard.
I think I brought it up, but yeah, I mean, going to Harvard is definitely something that people who go to Harvard say.
Oh, please. Over and over and over again. Spare me. Save me.
Harvard. I
Harvard.
can't even imagine what that's like. That still seems to me like it's a different planet.
You know, I have a daughter who's severely disabled in learning, but she's brilliant with people and has so much going for her. She's 13, and she wouldn't mind my saying it, Kate.
Yeah.
Anyway, she told me about 2 months ago she had the horrible dream that I died, and I reassure her. I'm saying, well, probably because I'm so old, I'm an old mom, but I'm thinking, well, everybody dreams about losing their mom, Kate, on and went trying to reassure her. She says, oh, I didn't care you died, but I got a letter from Harvard. I was accepted.
She wanted to share it.
Yeah. She didn't care if I was dead. She just didn't want to go to Harvard.
My son the other day said the funniest thing. We came
Kids
home.
are funny.
We came home from California, and we were coming out of the airport, and he was tired. I get it. Like, it was a long day. He's 6 years old, and
Great age for kids.
He goes, Daddy, can you carry me? I'm like, gee, I got 2 suitcases, buddy. He's like, and I'm like, all right, let me just give this guy a bone, because he's been really great all week. He didn't complain at all. So I pick him up and I'm carrying him, and I go, good thing you have a strong daddy. Otherwise I wouldn't be able to carry you. He goes, you are a strong daddy. And that made me feel good. And I was like basking in that moment. And then he buries his head in my neck. He goes, do you think mommy could kill someone?
Oh, God. Only a kid at 6.
I was like, what?
What does your wife say?
Oh, she just laughed. She heard me laugh. She's like, what's so funny? I was like, you're not going to, I mean, like, the kids' brains are they're so fascinating.
Yeah.
And I relate to that because I think I used to ask crazy questions like that when I was a kid too. I still ask crazy questions like that. I just don't care what people think of me. I need to know certain things.
Yeah.
I need to know if my mom can kill someone right now. And the only person I know that might know the answer is you, Dad. So I'm going to ask you this question.
So he's going to be fine.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I mean, this was a quick hour. I knew this was going to go
This was
quick.
an hour? Wow.
Yeah. Where do you like people to find you on? What's your favorite platform? You like Instagram, Twitter?
Instagram's the best, don't you think?
Instagram's the best.
Yeah. For everybody, not just me. Come on, it's best. Well, wherever you like to find people, you'll find me.
Barbara Corcoran.
Barbara Corcoran, easy.
And your podcast, 888 Barbara. Do you need any? You don't need any more people writing in. You're inundated with requests.
We're inundated, but if somebody's got a good question, we're always listening. No problem. And of course, Business Unusual.
Yes.
If you need business advice. That's my other sweet spot.
All right. So you are the queen of business. I'm so glad I got to sit and talk with you for an hour. That's why I love this podcast. It just doesn't happen otherwise.
No, it doesn't. Life's too busy.
Yep.
You don't get the kind of focus you get right here.
I'm very glad I got to sit with you. I look up to you. I admire you. I appreciate you sitting down with me.
And I'm happy to have you as my future business partner.
That's right.
Yeah, definitely.
Tank.
Don't let that one go. I'm going to bug you.
Thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure, Tank. Really.
All right.
My
Bye.
honor. Bye-bye.